Reporting from Arkham Asylum, this is Gotham Rogues. In this video we take a look at the forgotten Batman villain, Lady Clayface. Throughout his near 80-year-old existence, Batman has faced countless enemies. Some of these have gone on to stand among the most infamous fictional villains in pop culture history, while others have completely vanished into obscurity. In this segment of Forgotten Bat Rogues, we spotlight Lady Clayface. Lady Clayface, aka Lady Clay, aka Clayface 4, made her debut in The Outsiders 21, published in 1987. The story, which was a two-parter and continued into the next issue, was written by Mike W. Barr and penciled by Jim Aparo. In it, we're introduced to a villainous shapeshifter who simply calls herself Clayface. This new Clayface, the fourth one to use that name, takes on the guise of Outsiders member Looker, and subsequently infiltrates the team's headquarters. She's been sent by her employer, the criminal mastermind called Cobra, and her mission is simply to distract the heroes while he completes his latest vile scheme. Clayface 4 is a member of Cobra's brand new hit squad, Strike Force Cobra, a team of crooks molded into improved versions of old Batman foes, including a new Planet Master and Zebra Man. I have no idea why Cobra chose such loser villains. I'll definitely cover some of these guys too. Anyway, like the rest, Clayface was given her powers by Cobra on the condition of her serving him. While her powers are very similar to Matt Hagen's, the second Clayface, she's actually able to use the superpowers of whomever she mimics, more akin to the Superman rogue, the Parasite. We never find out much about Clayface 4, except that she's hideously ugly, possibly due to some disfigurement, and that's why she agreed to Cobra's offer. With shapeshifting powers, she'd never have to wear that ugly face of hers again, and could simply choose anyone else to look like. The character returned very briefly in 1989's Secret Origins 44, which featured retellings of the other three Clayfaces' backstories. In Lady Clayface's case, she had to settle with a short recap of the Outsiders two-parter. No fleshed-out origin was given to her, for some reason. Her appearance in this comic seems to serve more as setup for the upcoming Mudpack storyline. Mudpack was published across 4 issues of Detective Comics that same year, and the story features a big team-up of all of the first 4 Clayfaces. The team is led by the original Clayface, Basil Carlo, who begins by recruiting Clayface 4, now called Lady Clay, and given the name Sondra Fuller. Fuller is sent by Carlo to manipulate Preston Payne, the third Clayface, by using the old mind powers of Looker. She gets him to break out of Arkham and then persuades him to join their cause. Their cause being the murder of the Batman, of course. However, it then turns out that Carlo was only using the other Clayfaces to steal their powers and make himself into the ultimate Clayface. Abandoned by their leader, Sondra and Preston realize that they're beginning to fall in love with each other, being two of a kind, ugly clay freaks. Preston is the only person Sondra's ever met who prefers her default look, as opposed to anything more attractive she can whip up. Thus, the two disregard killing Batman and instead go on the run together. That could have been the end for the couple, and it really should have. But of course, as usual, characters can never be given closure. Instead, they gotta be brought back for no real reason. This happened in 1994 during the Night Quest era, when John Paul Valley held the title as Batman. During their time on the run, Sondra, now called Lady Clayface, and Preston had a baby, whom they named Cassius, and who's inherited his mother's shapeshifting powers. One day, Abattoir, a demented serial killer who targets his own relatives, and another rogue I should cover, kidnaps Cassius. He then blackmails Sondra and Preston into doing his bidding, fetch him his nephew who's under police protection, and kill the Batman. Otherwise they'll never see their son again. While Preston goes after the nephew, Sondra confronts Asbat and engages him in combat. It's a fight she loses, obviously, and ends up being knocked out, presumably sent to either Arkham or Blackgate. Following this appearance, we didn't see much more of Sondra Fuller. She showed up here and there, but mostly just for cameos. Like the rest of the Clayfaces, except for Carlo, she's mainly being ignored. As for other media, Sondra has, as of yet, not appeared in anything whatsoever, just like her husband, Preston. So, out of the original 4 classic Clayfaces, I'd have to say I definitely care the least for Sondra Fuller. Unlike the other 3, there's nothing really unique about her. She was after all created to be a new and improved Matt Hagen. The other 3 are completely different from one another and just share the same name, which they didn't even really need to do. They each have their own personalities, gimmicks, and powers, while Sondra's thing is mainly just being the female Clayface. She didn't really bring anything new to the table, and as a result is a bit unnecessary. I'm not saying I dislike the character though. I find her relationship with Preston to be pretty interesting and touching. I wish their story could have ended with Mudpack. That was a perfect ending for the both of them. A happy ending, which despite being villains, they kinda deserved. Neither of them were ever truly evil anyway. Sondra also had a fairly interesting backstory. Well, the minimal information we were actually given. I just don't understand why she was never given a proper origin story. I can understand that the Secret Origins issue didn't allow for it due to restricted page count, but they could have done it somewhere else. An issue of Batman or whatever. I would like to know just what happened to her before meeting Cobra. Was she born deformed? Disfigured later in life? What kind of events led her to Cobra? There's lots of blanks there. In fact, most of it is a big blank. Of course, none of it really matters now. Not after so many years, reboots and updates. If someone, for some bizarre reason, suddenly decided to bring Sondra back in a big way and actually explore her origin, it wouldn't be the same version anyway. There probably wouldn't be any Cobra involved, as the events of that Outsiders two-parter hasn't taken place in the new DC continuity. So there you have it. That's the story of forgotten Batman villain, Lady Clayface. She never really had that great potential, being a Matt Hagen knockoff and all. But since they did create her, I do feel they could have done a bit more with her, especially given her hints at a somewhat interesting origin story. Anyway, it's not something I'm losing any sleep over. And as always, remember, Arkham Asylum awaits you in the next video.